Welcome back to MVM. Today I'm going to give you a look at a brand new upcoming board game from Tactical Games called Atlas Lost: Rise of the New Sovereigns. This is a brand new strategy board game that is set in their Atlas Lost universe, but do not worry, this is a great jumping on point for the world. So basically what has happened up until this point in time is that there was a giant war between the humans and the AI. The AI rose up, you all know how that happens, and the humans had to do battle. Luckily, the humans were able to wipe out the AI, but most of civilization, including a lot of ancient technology, was considered lost. Humanity had to rise from the ashes and rebuild, but humanity is still humanity. Instead of working together to cooperate, each faction or corporation is actually competing in order to salvage resources from the ancient cities in order to build new technologies and use them to win the game. Now, there's actually 3 different ways to win this game, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But first, let's talk about the game that's actually set up here in front of me. Now, you'll see these 3 boards here. These represent remnants of the ancient world, the different technologies that you're going to be able to discover by moving down these different tech trees. You've got science over here, culture here in the middle, and economy over here. Each one of these tech trees is going to be set with random technologies out there, and you're going to get some player boards and pieces for the technologies you're using. Because in this game, there are actually 5 possible technologies. I've got military and religion here as well. When you're setting up this game, you're going to choose 3 of the 5 technologies like I've done and place their boards and their techs out on the table. You're going to gather all of the components for those particular technologies, and you're going to set all the other components off to the side. In fact, everything you're seeing off here on the other side of the board are components that are not being used because we're not using those technologies. So there's different trackers, tiles, different decks of cards, some components for each player, including these meeples right here that are just not even being used because we're not using those particular technologies. So every time you play this game, it's going to be vastly different. And not only is it going to be different because of using these different technologies, even the position of these boards out on the table is going to matter, because you'll see that one is marked A, B, and C. And no matter which technologies you use, you're going to shuffle them up. So even if I use these exact same 3 technologies again, they might be in a different order. There are a lot of cards in these decks and things that actually reference, oh, technology A or C. So based on the order that they are, certain cards are going to work differently. In addition, these technology tiles are randomly placed out, and there are some that are just not used. So again, even when you're using the same exact technology, you're not going to see every technology tile in every game. So you're going to set your player board up in front of you, and there are a lot of components that you're going to have no matter what. You're always going to have your advanced teams, which are the teams that you're going to send out to discover technologies. You're always going to have your trackers for the 3 different resources: research, data, and command. And then you're going to have some other boards based on the technologies you're using. So I have a culture board, which is going to hold culture tokens, and an economy board, which is going to hold economy tokens. Science itself doesn't actually have any extra components. So you're going to set all this up, you're going to deal out the decks of cards, and you're going to place 1 advanced team on the first level of technology for each of these technology trees. And this is kind of the core of the game. You're going to be using these technologies and trying to discover new technologies by placing your advanced teams out on the board. This represents the troops that you have, the teams that you can send out to actually research these ruins and eventually try to uncover these new technologies. But you will notice that these are actually technology trees. You've got these blue lines that are kind of creating paths across the board. You have to follow those blue lines when placing your workers, and you can only have 1 team per level. So level 1 is set. Level 2, you have to choose the left or the right, and you'll notice that if I come over here on the left, I'm actually blocking myself off from this far right technology. I can't actually use this one. I can only come down here to the one below it. Now, there are reasons why you might want to choose certain technologies to go with your different strategies, and we'll talk about that. But all of technologies kind of boil down to 2 different things. There are active technologies that you can trigger on your turn, and there are passive technologies which are going to just give you some kind of bonus. I said every player starts with the level 1 technology. That's always the same. It kind of gives you the very basic action of that particular technology. Science lets you do upgrades. Culture lets you move your culture markers onto the board, and economy lets you move out these little economy tokens. These are going to help you throughout the game by kind of building an engine, and also, of course, benefiting you when you're playing cards from those specific decks. Over time, as players choose different technologies and as players play cards out into a tableau in front of them, you're going to be building a completely unique engine. Think kind of like Terraforming Mars here. You're going to have a vast number of cards that are all going to be triggering in different ways. And of course, again, these cards can be used actively. Some of them are just going to give you passive abilities as well. There are some technologies that just give you resources, for example, and there are some that actually benefit everyone at the table. So trying to choose which one of these technologies you're going to focus on and how and when to go down those technology tracks is one of the core tenets of the game. Over here to the left side, you're going to have the influence track. You're going to have a marker that's going to be moving as you're spending resources to move up the influence track. There are a number of rewards at the top of the influence track that you're going to gain every time you move on to them. One of them is always going to be the same, and that is the initiative marker. You're always going to get this if you are the farthest along on this particular track. But the next 3 rewards are all going to be different for every game. These are determined by the technologies you're using and the order that they're coming out. So A is first, B is second, and C is third. So you're actually going to be triggering abilities on that influence track in a different order every single time you play the game. Now you want to earn those initiative cards because they're going to give you some bonuses, but they're all very difficult to get. This one, the Influence Initiative, you have to be up a certain track, and then the Science, Culture, and Economy Initiative cards all have their own different requirements. You're going to count up the number of tokens you've put out on the board, plus the number of cards you have out in front of you, and you're going to add that all together to determine who gets that initiative, because that's actually going to contribute to the end of the game. Because like I said, there are 3 ways to end the game, and it is kind of a race. If you finish your turn and you have one of those objectives met, you win. You don't have to wait till the end of the round or anything like that. You just have to have it done on your turn. If you make it all the way to the end of the influence track where it says win, you just win. If you ever have all 4 initiative tiles at the same time, which means you are doing better than everybody on every single aspect of the board, then you win. Or if you accrue 30 technology points, you win as well. And these technology points are going to come from actions you're taking on the board. A lot of the technologies and cards are going to convert resources or actions into technology points. And this is kind of a race for these points. In addition, each one of those initiative tokens is worth 2 technology points on its own. So while you are maybe trying to race to get all 4, by keeping one, you're not only stopping somebody from getting all 4, you're also getting 2 extra points for your own particular win condition. So you're going to be trying to win those 3, and it's going to check at the end of every turn, because turn structure is basically the same for everybody, and it's going to go around in turn order, just moving clockwise around the table, and you're going to get to take a main action, a command action, and a card action. A main action is going to refer to your advanced teams. You're either going to be sending out an advanced team, which you can do by paying costs based on whether it's a level 1, 2, or 3 technology. You'll place that out there. Some of these spaces have little tokens that you're going to earn immediately if you're the first one to go there. You're either going to have data tokens or these technology tokens that actually give you technology points for the end of the game. So being the first to discover some of these technologies can really help you by giving you specific resources. Then you're going to be able to draw cards. So also when you're going down technologies, you're getting to choose cards to draw. You're going to draw 2 and you're going to keep 1. Now, the other ones are going to go face up in a discard pile, and then you're going to add this technology card to your hand. Everyone starts with 2 unique cards. You're going to discard one of these at the start of the game. So everyone starts with 1 card, and then you can add cards to your hand over the course of the game to eventually play them. The other thing you can do, instead of placing out one of these advanced teams, is take income. And you'll see you'll have income that's uncovered as you place more of these advanced teams out. So the more you do, the more income you're going to get. You're going to be able to do that action. Eventually, you're going to be able to gain cards. And each of these actions is supplemented by something. If you are using economy, you're going to get extra research. If you're using culture, you're going to get extra data. So you can do that. And the last thing you can do if you don't want to do either one of those things is activate one of the technologies that your advanced team has already discovered. And again, like I said, a lot of these technologies are activated. You have to actually pay something in order to take the action. Some of them are passive, and those are just going to contribute overall over the course of the game. And those are all really the main actions you can do. The next thing you do is your command action, and this is where you're going to spend command points to take the action of any technology on the board. So when I was talking about going down those different rows, this actually allows you to break that rule and use any technology. This is going to let you use some of these expensive technologies that actually refer directly to those specialized technologies you have out. So you could take some culture actions and economy actions. I'll talk about those because I actually have them in front of me. Culture lets you just take these tokens and place them out on specialized culture marker spaces on the board. So you can place these out effectively, giving your cultural control over that particular location. This is going to help you because it's going to give you access to that cultural initiative card, and it's also going to help you gain more income during that income phase. Economy is the same way. You're going to be able to place these economy tokens out, and they're going to actually slot into your characters on the board. So you have to place these where you have advanced teams. And again, you're going to be working towards that economic victory of that, or that economic initiative card. Of the other two that I'm not using, military is much more aggressive. It's actually got a military track, a new resource you can spend in order to basically launch raids and snatch goods from other players. So military, all the cards and actions are much more PvP oriented. And then you have religion. Religion is another technology that's going to give you a bunch of new components, including these religious figures that you can send to other people's player boards and try to influence their people. You can have the most of these out on other people's player boards, and that's going to give you benefits as well. And of course, all of the cards for military and religion, in fact, all of the cards in general, are going to feed into the strategies of those particular technologies and give you bonus ways to do those technologies. So you're going to, like I said, do the main action, the command action, and then a card action. You can play one card out into your tableau. Some of these cards give instant effects. Some of them are going to stay out and give you passive or active abilities. Or you can just discard cards for resources if you're really tight, because you can do these actions in any order. In addition, you can trigger any number of cards that are already out as just a free action. So as you're going through your turn and deciding the order that you want to do things, maybe you take the card action first to play a card, then you tap that card to use it as a free action, which is going to give you the command points or the resources that you need to send out in a team or do the command action. So the order in which you do things is important, because at the end of your turn, once you've done all of the actions you can do, you're going to come over here to the influence board, and you're going to spend resources to move up this influence track, perhaps earning this initiative token or getting some of the benefits from these tokens that are slotted in above. And whenever you take an initiative card, you're going to place it in front of you, and you're going to hold on to it until somebody takes it from you. In the case of influence, you're going to have it until somebody passes you on that particular track. You're also going to look at each one of the other initiative cards and see if you currently gain it. So you're going to count, for example, culture. You're going to look at how many culture tokens you have on the board. I've got 3, and how many culture cards you've played. If you have the most, you're just going to take that culture and you're going to place it in front of you. I've now got 2 of the tech tiles I need, plus 4 more tech points, and of course you're earning tech points over the course of the game as well. So when your turn is done, after you've done all of the influencing you want to do, you can move up that track as far as you can possibly go, as much as you can pay for. Then you're going to check to see if you've actually won. If you've met one of those 3 conditions, the 30 tech points, the 4 initiative tokens, or having hit that end win condition on the influence board, then it's just game over right there, and you win. So that is kind of an overview of everything that's going on in Atlas Lost. This game is incredibly variable, and in fact, you're going to be seeing a very different game every single time you play, not just because of the tech tiles, not just because of the different technologies you're using, but also because there are so many cards in these decks, and you're not seeing a ton of cards every game. So you're going to be seeing new cards every single time you play this game. There's going to be new cards coming up, and of course you're going to want to mix and match and try all the different components and see what they bring into the game, because the game feels very different based on which different combinations you're using. So thank you so much for watching this video. Please let me know in the comments if this looks up your alley. I think for people that like modular games with a lot of variability and a lot of replayability, I think you're really going to dig this. It's got a lot of Euro-y things going on with all of these different tracks and putting all of these different components out. There's not dice to roll and things like that. So if you're into those games like I am, I think you're really going to enjoy this. I will say this is sponsored content, but I had a blast playing this game. I'm actually quite looking forward to seeing the final version. So take a look at their crowdfunding page. If you have any questions about the game, please ask them down below. And as always, thank you so much for watching, subscribing, and being part of our MVM community. And until we see you again, just keep having fun at the table.
Congratulations, you got to the end of one of our videos. Now, if you want more practice, just click on the video over here. It's another video. You might not have seen it yet, so click on it. If you don't want to do that, at least click on the subscription button below. That always helps us. And if you want notifications, please ring that bell.